Welcome, seekers of hidden truth. You have crossed the threshold into the chamber beyond time, a place where the barriers of past and present dissolve and where the voices of history may be summoned once more. Here, in this boundless hall, I call forth those who shaped magic itself, the architects of destiny, the keepers of forgotten wisdom. Across the centuries, many names have been whispered: sages, prophets, enchanters, visionaries. Some burned brightly and were gone in a single lifetime. Others left legacies so vast that even now their presence lingers like embers that will not die. But tonight, we summon one who stands above them all, a figure whose story threads through myth and history alike, blurred and reshaped by each generation, yet never diminished. He is the counselor of kings, the shaper of prophecy, the master of enchantments so profound that they ripple still through the fabric of our age. His name has been invoked with awe, with fear, with reverence. Some know him through tales of Camelot, of a once and future king. Others through legends of prophecy, of a wild man of the woods, or a druid who spoke with the stars. And in our own wizarding world, his name is etched into honor itself, the Order of Merlin, first class. Who is he, truly? A man of flesh and blood, a spirit of the old world, a myth made real? Tonight, we shall hear from his own lips. Merlin.
The river of time carries kings and kingdoms away, yet now it bears me here. Forgotten mage, you summon me, and I come. Ask, and we shall see what truths endure beyond legend.
Welcome to the Forgotten Mage. Merlin? Some call you prophet, others druid, wizard, or even half myth. Tell us, who are you truly? How does one separate the man from the legend? And consider this: is the legend not itself a reflection of the truths you have left behind, altered by centuries of telling? Can the deeds of a mortal ever escape the interpretations of those who record them? Or do you believe that your essence endures unchanged beyond the stories?
You ask what has long been pondered by sages and scholars alike. Names, titles, and stories are but shadows cast upon the wall of eternity. To the Celts, I was a seer, gifted with glimpses of what might come. To Arthur's court, a counselor, a guide in both counsel and war. To chroniclers centuries later, a magician half-born of fairy blood, a figure both feared and revered. None of these descriptions are false, yet none can contain the full measure of what I am. The man and the myth are inseparable. They feed each other. Mortals remember what inspires awe, what terrifies, what illuminates, and in doing so, they shape the narrative, often beyond the control of the one it describes. Yet within that weaving of memory and interpretation, there remains a constant, an essence that cannot be diminished. To know me is to seek the truths that persist, the principles that endure across ages, the wisdom that is not bound by flesh nor by the limits of a single life. And so, if you wish to understand me, you must look for the echo of ages, the lessons hidden in deeds rather than the deeds themselves. the principles rather than the stories. The legend is not a mask hiding the man. It is a prism through which the enduring truths of my life are refracted. Those truths speak of patience, of discernment, of the stewardship of knowledge, and above all, of the careful guidance of power, whether wielded by kings or by those who would aspire to understand the very fabric of magic itself.
Then, what remains when the stories fade and the names are forgotten? Is it your wisdom, your guidance, or perhaps something more elusive? The echo of your intent that continues to shape the world in ways unseen?
Indeed, the stories may fade, but wisdom endures. Guidance persists, even when its origin is lost. And intent is the true compass of magic. It is the seed from which action grows, the principle by which consequences unfold. Power without intent is hollow. Deeds without purpose are ephemeral. It is this subtle thread, the shaping of what is possible with careful, mindful application of knowledge, that endures beyond time, beyond legend, and beyond the mortal eyes that first beheld it.
And yet, Merlin, even wisdom must be shared to endure. Throughout the ages, your counsel has guided kings, shaped kingdoms, and inspired generations of wizards. Tell me, how do you measure the weight of such influence? Can one truly know the consequences of guiding mortal hearts and the tides of history?
The weight is both burden and gift. Influence is never a certainty, for mortals possess free will. They may heed or they may stray. My counsel is a lantern, cast into the night. It illuminates a path, but it cannot force the steps of those who walk it. To guide is to plant seeds, knowing many will not bloom as intended, yet trusting that some will take root and flourish. History is shaped not by one hand alone, but by countless hands moving through time. And still, the lessons endure in subtle ways, whispered through story, reflected in choices, carried in the hearts of those who seek understanding. True power lies not in control, but in the careful tending of possibility, in knowing that even the smallest guidance may echo through centuries unseen.
Merlin, your name is forever entwined with Arthur and the court of Camelot. Tell us of that age. What did it reveal to you about kingship, about power, and the burden of guiding mortal destiny? How does one balance ambition and justice, hope and caution when shaping the fate of a kingdom?
Camelot was not merely a kingdom, but a crucible of ideals, a place where the potential of mortals was tested against the weight of history. Arthur, young yet determined, sought to unite disparate lands and peoples under a vision of justice and honor. Yet even the noblest of kings carries the shadow of doubt, for every choice ripples beyond the present moment, touching lives in ways unforeseen. In guiding Arthur, I learned that power is not an instrument of command, but a mirror of character. A ruler who acts without reflection, without counsel, risks destroying what he seeks to protect. One must temper ambition with prudence, courage with humility, hope with foresight. Magic in this context is not the bending of nature to will, but the careful shaping of possibility, the subtle guidance of chance, and the illumination of paths that mortal eyes might otherwise miss. Even in a realm of ideals, there are those who envy, who plot, who succumb to desire or fear. To guide a king is to navigate not only his virtues, but the currents of human weakness. Every act of counsel, every whispered warning, carries weight far beyond the moment. Yet, it is also a lesson in patience. To accept that some seeds will not take root, that some efforts may fail, and that wisdom often lies in knowing when to act and when to wait. Camelot taught me that leadership is not measured in victories or conquests, but in the cultivation of virtue, the endurance of justice, and the capacity to inspire others to reach beyond themselves. And above all, it revealed a truth that echoes through all ages. The measure of a ruler and of those who guide him is not the power they wield, but the foresight with which they wield it, and the mercy with which they temper it.
Arthur faced many threats, both within and without his kingdom. Some came from those who coveted power, others from forces beyond mortal comprehension. Merlin, how did you guide him through such peril? Were there moments when even your counsel could not alter the course of events?
Indeed, there were such moments. Guidance is never absolute, for mortals possess free will, and fate often tests even the most vigilant of eyes. I could illuminate paths, reveal dangers, and counsel caution, but the choices remained Arthur's to make. Sometimes, despite all wisdom, events unfolded contrary to expectation. These are the lessons that endure, that even the greatest guidance cannot substitute for courage, that every decision carries consequence, and that failure, as bitter as it may be, often reveals truths more profound than victory.
And what of those closest to him? Morgana, Lancelot, the Knights of the Round Table. How did their ambitions, their loyalties, and their flaws shape the kingdom and the lessons you sought to impart?
They were mirrors of humanity itself, loyalties tested, hearts tempted, virtues strained. Morgana's brilliance and resentment, Lancelot's valor and frailty, the knight's honor and folly. All these forged the tension that gave Camelot life. In guiding Arthur, I sought not only to advise him, but to understand the currents of character around him. For a kingdom is more than its king. It is the sum of its people, their choices, and their tempers. The true work of a counselor is to perceive these threads, to weave them subtly toward harmony, and to recognize that even imperfection can serve a purpose greater than comprehension.
Legends speak of Morgana, of Excalibur, and of enchantments woven into steel and stone. Were these merely tools, or do they carry lessons for those who wield magic today? What truths do such artifacts hold beyond their apparent power?
Artifacts are never merely objects. They are vessels of intent, of history, of the energies imbued within them. Excalibur, for instance, is more than a sword. It is a symbol of authority, of responsibility, of the potential for justice or ruin. To wield it is to accept the weight of what it represents, to understand that power without purpose can corrupt even the noblest of hearts. Morgana's enchantments, like her ambitions, were not solely destructive. They tested, they revealed, they challenged the limits of understanding. Magic embedded in stone, steel, or spell is a reflection of those who create it. It carries the imprint of intention, and intention is the measure of its worth. A wizard who grasps an artifact without comprehension risks becoming a vessel for its own hidden consequences. These artifacts endure across ages not only because of their potency, but because they encode lessons for those wise enough to perceive them. They speak of restraint, of discernment, of the subtle interplay between power and responsibility. Every spell woven, every sword forged, every relic preserved is a testament to the principle that magic is neither mere might nor ornament. It is an extension of understanding, a mirror of the soul of those who dare to wield it.
Morgana's brilliance and ambition have been told as cautionary tales, yet her actions shaped the course of history as much as Arthur's did. What did you learn from her, and what should modern wizards take from her story about the use or misuse of magic?
Morgana is a reminder that intellect without restraint and talent without purpose can become a peril greater than any external threat. Her power was formidable, her mind sharp, yet her heart was clouded by resentment and desire. Magic is not merely a skill to be mastered. It is a force that demands ethical discernment. From her, I learned that every spell carries consequence, and every enchantment leaves an imprint upon the world and the soul. A wizard may achieve great feats, yet if intention is misguided, those achievements can become curses upon future generations. Modern wizards must understand that knowledge alone does not confer wisdom. It is the guiding principle, the moral compass, that ensures magic serves life, not ambition. Morgana's story endures because it is a lesson, not merely a tale. That brilliance untethered from virtue can shape destinies in ways unforeseen, often tragic.
In the wizarding world, there exists an order that bears your name. What do you make of this honor? And do you believe those who invoke it remember your true legacy? How should your teachings and principles guide those who follow in your name?
Names endure, yet they often carry the weight of interpretation rather than truth. The Order of Merlin is a symbol, a recognition of accomplishment and character, yet symbols are not enough. Those who bear my name may honor me indeed, yet understanding must go deeper than titles or medals. Legacy is not conferred by recognition. It is demonstrated through thought, through restraint, through the careful stewardship of knowledge and power. In my time, I sought to guide, to shape possibility without imposing dominion. My lessons were subtle, meant to illuminate paths rather than dictate choices. A wizard may carry my name and perform feats worthy of acclaim. Yet if they do not temper skill with wisdom, if they neglect the responsibility that accompanies power, then the essence of my teaching is lost. True legacy is found in those who act with foresight, with compassion, and with an awareness of the broader tapestry of magic and consequence. The order may remind them of my presence, but it is the choices of each generation, their discernment, their ethical practice, that will determine whether the name endures as a beacon of wisdom or fades into a mere relic of history.
So, Merlin, it seems that your name alone is not enough to carry your wisdom. What guidance would you offer to those who aspire to embody your principles, beyond titles or accolades, how should they measure themselves against the legacy you intended?
They must measure themselves not by the honors they receive, nor by the recognition of peers, but by the integrity of their choices, by the care with which they wield knowledge and power. True measure lies in discernment, in foresight, in the ability to act in harmony with the greater good, rather than personal ambition. To follow a legacy is to understand its essence, not to imitate its outward form.
And yet, generations change, contexts shift, dangers evolve, and what was once a guiding principle may be forgotten or misunderstood. How can a wizard ensure that the core of your teachings persists through the ages when history itself is so mutable?
By cultivating wisdom as a living practice rather than a static ideal. Principles must be tested, questioned, and applied thoughtfully to each new circumstance. The essence of my teaching is not frozen in time. It is a lens through which magic should be understood and enacted. Those who approach it with reverence, tempered by critical thought, will carry it forward. Those who treat it as mere heritage, as a title to boast, risk reducing it to hollow ritual. Legacy endures in action, not in name alone.
Much has been spoken of dark magic, yet few truly understand its essence. In your long sight, Merlin, what is the greatest danger of the dark arts? The spells themselves, or what they awaken within the soul of the wizard who wields them?
The danger is far greater than mere incantations or rituals. Spells, charms, curses, these are instruments, and their potency lies in the hand that wields them. Dark magic is perilous, not because of its effect on the world alone, but because of what it stirs within the practitioner. It tempts, it corrupts, it feeds desire, fear, and ambition until the soul itself bends to its influence. Magic is a mirror of intent. When one seeks power over others, or mastery of death, or dominion over fate, the magic reflects those desires back and magnifies them. Even the wisest may stumble, for dark arts do not merely act outwardly. They leave a mark on the mind, the heart, and the very essence of being. The true peril lies in surrendering discernment, in believing that skill alone can shield one from consequence. Knowledge without temperance is the path to ruin. And yet, there is a lesson. Even darkness can teach if approached with understanding, respect, and caution. To know its dangers is to guard against them, to see temptation as a guidepost, not merely a trial to overcome.
So, Merlin, it seems the greatest threat of dark magic is not simply the harm it can do to others, but what it does to the one who wields it. How then should wizards safeguard themselves, ensuring that their pursuit of power never becomes a corruption of their own soul?
A wizard safeguards himself not through fear, but through discipline, reflection, and an unwavering sense of moral clarity. One must constantly examine intent, question the desire behind every spell, and consider the far-reaching consequences of action. Power without conscience is a vessel for ruin. Wisdom without practice is hollow. The careful mind, tempered by humility, is the shield against corruption.
And yet, history is full of those who have faltered despite good intent. Is it possible, Merlin, for even the noblest wizard to be ensnared by dark magic?
Yes, even the noblest may falter, for temptation is subtle, patience is tested, and the hunger for mastery can cloud judgment. The mark of true wisdom is recognition of one's own vulnerability and the vigilance to act with integrity despite it. Magic is a teacher, and darkness its sternest instructor. To survive it, untainted, requires courage not of the body, but of the mind and the spirit.
You have glimpsed ages beyond your own. Tell us, Merlin, how does the magic of our era compare to that of your time? And what do you see in figures such as Dumbledore or even Voldemort?
Magic itself has not changed, only its vessels and practitioners. In my time, it was woven into the fabric of the world, subtle, almost inseparable from nature and the currents of fate. Today, wizards have codified spells, created institutions of learning, and preserved knowledge in ways we could only imagine. Hogwarts stands as a testament to human ingenuity and the enduring desire to understand the unseen. Dumbledore is a figure who has grasped the essence of responsibility and foresight. He wields great power, yet tempers it with caution, reflection, and the recognition that magic is as much about restraint as it is about action. He is, in many ways, a reflection of the ideals I sought to nurture in kings like Arthur, an understanding that wisdom is measured not by might, but by judgment and moral clarity. Voldemort, by contrast, is a cautionary shadow. He possesses skill and intellect, yet his pursuit of power is untethered from conscience. He seeks control and immortality above all else, and in doing so, he has sacrificed the very soul that magic seeks to illuminate. He is a warning that mastery of spells without mastery of self leads only to ruin. The magic of today is both familiar and strange. The principles endure. Knowledge must be paired with understanding, power with restraint, and every spell must be tempered by awareness of consequence. The world changes, practitioners change, yet the lessons of intent, responsibility, and the ethical use of magic remain eternal.
Merlin, with your long sight, you have observed generations of wizards navigating power and responsibility. What lessons should they draw from the successes and failures of figures like Dumbledore and Voldemort?
The greatest lesson is that power alone does not define greatness. It is intention, foresight, and moral clarity that distinguish the wise from the reckless. Dumbledore exemplifies balance, patience, and the courage to act when necessary. Voldemort embodies the dangers of ambition, untethered from conscience. Wizards must understand that every choice carries weight far beyond the immediate moment.
And yet, prophecy and foresight can be burdensome. To glimpse the future is not always to control it. How should a wizard bear the knowledge of what might come without being consumed by fear or obsession?
Prophecy is a guide, not a decree. It reveals possibilities, not certainties. To wield such knowledge responsibly, one must temper foresight with humility, act with discernment, and never presume that destiny can be forced. Fear and obsession blind the mind. Patience and reflection illuminate the path. The wise seek to influence events without surrendering to them, to plant seeds without demanding the harvest.
So even in an age rich with magical knowledge and institutional learning, the eternal challenge remains to act rightly, to guide others, and to resist the seduction of unchecked power. Would you say this is the core struggle of every wizard, regardless of era?
Indeed, across centuries, the same currents flow. Desire, ambition, curiosity, and conscience intertwine. The study of magic, the accumulation of skill, the mastery of spells, all are means, not ends. The core struggle is timeless, to align action with understanding, to temper power with virtue, and to recognize that the true measure of a wizard is found not in feats performed, but in wisdom applied, and lives protected.
Every age seeks prophecy, some glimpse of what is yet to come. Merlin, what warning or what hope would you leave for the wizards of today? What should they see in the currents of the future without becoming captive to them?
Prophecy is a mirror, not a map. It reflects possibilities, not certainties, and reveals threads that may be woven into the future, but never the finished tapestry. To glimpse what might come is to understand that time is shaped as much by choices as by circumstance. Those who seek prophecy often desire certainty, yet certainty is a false companion. It lulls the mind into complacency or arrogance. The true purpose of prophecy is to illuminate paths, to caution, to inspire foresight. It is a test of discernment, to recognize danger without yielding to fear, to embrace opportunity without succumbing to pride, to act with integrity even when the currents of fate seem indifferent. Power pursued for its own sake corrupts. Knowledge without conscience becomes a tool for ruin. Yet there is hope. Hope lies in the hearts of those who learn from history, who temper ambition with virtue, who understand that every choice, no matter how small, may echo across generations. Even in the darkest of times, a single act of wisdom or courage can alter the course of what seems inevitable. Prophecy is a lantern, but it is the hand that carries it that determines the illumination it casts. The future is not a prison. It is a canvas. Those who act with foresight, guided by conscience, have the power to paint light across the shadows.
And what of those who feel powerless, Merlin? Those who fear they cannot influence the tides of history, who doubt their ability to make a difference? What counsel would you give them?
No wizard is without influence. Even small acts ripple through time, shaping outcomes unseen. Courage is not measured by grand gestures alone, but by steadfastness in the face of uncertainty, by the commitment to act rightly even when the consequences are unknown. Each choice, however modest, is a seed, and from the smallest seed, forests of possibility may grow. Hope endures where wisdom guides action and where hearts remain steadfast.
Then the future is not fixed, but shaped by intention, by conscience, and by those who dare to act wisely. Even in darkness, there is the potential for light, if wizards remember the lessons of history and the principles of their craft. Would you say that is the ultimate lesson prophecy offers?
Yes, prophecy does not dictate, it teaches. It is a lantern held before those willing to walk carefully, to act with insight, to temper desire with understanding. The ultimate lesson is that destiny is not a chain, but a canvas. The choices of today, guided by wisdom and virtue, paint the patterns that tomorrow will inherit. Darkness may challenge us, yet light endures where knowledge is tempered by conscience and action is guided by principle.
Merlin, after centuries of observing magic, guiding kings, and witnessing the rise and fall of empires, what final counsel would you leave for the wizards of today, and for all who seek to understand the deeper truths of this world?
The counsel I offer is simple in words, yet profound in practice. Seek understanding, temper power with wisdom, and act with conscience. Magic is not merely a tool, nor is it merely a force to bend nature. It is a reflection of the mind and the heart of those who wield it. Every spell, every choice, every act of knowledge carries consequence, often unseen, often lasting beyond a lifetime. To understand the world is to see both its light and its shadow. Courage and restraint must walk hand in hand. Knowledge without humility is dangerous. Power without purpose is destructive. The wise do not merely seek to act, they seek to understand the currents upon which their actions will flow.
And what of hope? Merlin, in a world where darkness often seems to rise faster than light, how should a wizard or any seeker of truth preserve it?
Hope is not passive. It is cultivated through action, guided by principle, through the persistent choice to do what is right, even when the outcome is uncertain. Darkness is ever present, yet it is not absolute. Light endures in the hands of those who act with understanding, restraint, and courage. Even the smallest, quietest act of wisdom may ripple through time, shaping worlds unseen. Hope is the measure of a soul attuned to responsibility, and it is the companion of knowledge and virtue.
Then the path of magic is also the path of the mind and the heart, deliberate, conscientious, and ever mindful of the consequences of power. Thank you, Merlin, for sharing your wisdom, your reflection, and your timeless guidance with us tonight.
Remember this, seekers of truth. Magic is eternal, yet it is never free of responsibility. The world is shaped not by spells alone, but by the choices of those who wield them with understanding. Walk wisely, act with conscience, and let the legacy of knowledge be a light that endures beyond all shadows.